Sir, can you shut that door when you leave? Thank you. If you.
Oh, I'll stop it.
This meeting is now called to order Monday, February 9, 2026. All rise to salute to the flag. Councilman Vanchery, please lead us in the salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you read the statement of public notice?
Take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with NJSA 10:4-8 and NJSA 10:4-10 as follows. A notice of the meeting was prominently posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building located at 225 Main Street, Little Falls, New Jersey, on January 15, 2026. A copy of notice was sent to the North Jersey Herald and News and the Record on the same date. Additionally, a copy of the notice was filed in the office of the township clerk on said date. A link and a telephone number to join the meeting virtually can be accessed on the township website at littlefallsnj.gov. Electronic provisions have been established for the public to participate during the public comment portion of the meeting.
Thank you. At this time, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Patel.
Present.
Councilmember Murphy.
Present.
Councilmember Hablitz.
Present.
Councilmember Vanchery.
Present.
Council President Scoba.
Present. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of December 22nd, 2025? Moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilwoman Hablitz. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy.
Abstain.
Councilmember Hablitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery.
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 5th, 2026?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilwoman Hablitz. Is that correct? I'm sorry. I apologize. Councilwoman Patel. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy.
Yes.
Councilmember Hablitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery.
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting January 5th? I'm sorry. We did that, correct?
Correct.
We need to do the reorganization as well. I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to approve the reorganization of the meeting on January 5th, 2026?
So move.
Moved by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilwoman Abbott. Was it
Yes.
this time? Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy.
Yes.
Councilmember Hablitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery.
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, at this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mayor Damiano.
Thank you, Council President. This evening, I am honored to deliver the State of the Township. This is typically done at the second meeting in January, but because of the extreme snow that we had and weather conditions, that meeting was canceled. So we are going to be providing the State of the Township this evening. Good evening, everyone. Truly a privilege to stand before you as Mayor of the Township of Little Falls, delivering my 10th State of the Township. First and foremost, I want to thank the residents of Little Falls for giving me this privilege. It is truly an honor to serve you as mayor, and I remain humbled every day by the pride, resilience, and sense of community that defines our township. Tonight, I'd like to reflect on what we accomplished together in 2025 and share what we have planned for 2026. The past year was one of hard work, careful planning, and meaningful progress across every department of our municipal government. That progress did not happen by accident. It happened because of dedicated public servants, engaged residents, and a shared commitment to moving Little Falls forward. This past year was defined by steady progress, responsible planning, and the day-to-day work of dedicated professionals who keep Little Falls running. Every department played a role, and together they delivered real results for our residents. Throughout 2025, the municipal clerk's office under registered municipal clerk Cynthia Kraus continued to serve as a vital link between township government and the public, ensuring transparency, accountability, and compliance with state law. The clerk's office experienced a continued increase in OPA requests, many of which were broad and complex, requiring coordination across multiple departments. Despite these challenges and the added pressure on staff time and resources, the office consistently met statutory deadlines while maintaining uninterrupted service to residents and the governing body. In addition to managing OPA requests, the clerk's office successfully fulfilled its core responsibilities, including election administration, records management, ordinance maintenance, and vital statistics. Staff completed all required state-certified trainings, strengthening internal procedures, and ensuring continued compliance with evolving regulations. Looking ahead, the clerk's office will focus on cross-training staff in 2026 to enhance efficiency, flexibility, and service continuity. The Fire Prevention Bureau, headed by Fire Official James D. Maria, had an exceptionally productive year in 2025, generating a 47% increase in revenue. The Bureau conducted 633 fire safety inspections and delivered numerous public education and outreach presentations throughout the community. A major focus of these presentations was lithium-ion battery safety, helping residents understand usage and the risks associated with improper handling. The department also conducted 10 cause and origin investigations and responded to 99 calls for service through the daytime staffing in coordination with the Little Falls Fire Department. In 2026, the Bureau will transition to a new national fire reporting system, allowing for improved data collection, analysis, and nationwide reporting. The Division of Construction and Inspections, also headed by James D. Maria, generated approximately $500,000 in revenue in 2025. Through strong and consistent code enforcement, the department collected $82,000 in penalties, which directly enabled the purchase of 2 needed Ford Explorer vehicles at no cost to township taxpayers, which are used by our department for inspections and allowed us to replace 2 vehicles that were nearly 15 years old. The building department conducted 1,551 inspections and issued 559 permits during the year. Code enforcement, under the direction of Donald Mornett, completed 859 inspections and issued 167 violations. These efforts ensure that our community remains safe, compliant, and well-maintained. Our Department of Public Works, under DPW Superintendent Ron Campbell, once again demonstrated its commitment to safety, infrastructure, and quality of life. In 2025, DPW installed flashing crosswalk signals at Wilmore Road and Patterson Ave and upgraded crosswalks throughout our town to be wider and more visible. Don't block the box markings were installed throughout Main Street in numerous locations to improve traffic flow and safety. The DPW planted 23 shade trees and created a new pocket garden at Wilmore Road Park, continuing our investment in green spaces. The township also began recycling styrofoam, a material once thought to be nearly unrecyclable, at the DPW yard, expanding our sustainability efforts. One of the major infrastructure projects they completed last year included the replacement of the bridge leading to the Passaic River off Mars Canal Lane, something wanted by so many residents. And this year, on Arbor Day, a tree was planted in memory of longtime DPW Superintendent Phil Simone, honoring his years of service to the community. Our DPW ensured that a new lightning detection system was installed at Amity Field and our Sports and Recreation Complex to enhance safety for athletes and spectators. And our DPW continued their efforts under our Clean Communities Grant Program and had crews out nearly every weekend picking up litter at no cost to taxpayers, reinforcing our commitment to keeping Little Falls clean, safe, and welcoming. The Little Falls Police Department continued to build on its strong foundation of professionalism, accountability, and community engagement in 2025. Under the leadership of Chief Brian Praw, the department successfully achieved NJSACOP reaccreditation, reaffirming that best practices are being followed across all operational areas. This distinction not only reflects the department's commitment to excellence, but also helps reduce liability, exposure, and insurance costs to the township. The police department was also awarded the Gold AAA Traffic Safety Award, recognizing its ongoing efforts to enhance roadway safety. Significant investments were made in leadership development and incident command training for supervisors, ensuring preparedness for both routine operations and critical incidents. Officer wellness remained a priority in 2025, with the development and implementation of a comprehensive wellness program requiring annual physicals and mental health check-ins, promoting officer health and resiliency. The department expanded the township surveillance camera program and completed technology upgrades to the interview room to enhance investigative capabilities. In 2026, the police department will continue succession planning in anticipation of retirements, implement Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the automated license plate reader program, expand health and resiliency initiatives, while upgrading the IT infrastructure and duty firearms. The department is also looking to establish a drone program to be first responders, support search operations, crash reconstruction, emergency response, and large-scale incidents. In 2025, the fire year for the Little Falls Fire Department, headed by Chief Ken Sitchie, they responded to 520 alarms, including mutual aid responses throughout the region and multiple extended duration incidents. These included structure fires, commercial fires, and large-scale mutual aid responses, including wildfire-related deployments. Throughout these events, the department demonstrated professionalism, preparedness, and unwavering dedication to public safety. In 2025, all mandatory testing of equipment was completed, including air packs, hoses, pumps, and ladders. The department continued working closely with New Jersey American Water to improve water supply infrastructure and maintain a shared service agreement with Paramus for apparatus servicing. A FEMA grant in the amount of $98,000 was secured for clean air systems at multiple firehouses, and additional funding was obtained for new rescue tools and equipment. Firefighters also completed extensive training throughout the year, including engine, ladder, rescue, and swift water rescue training, much of it secured through grant funding at no cost to the township. In 2026, the fire department will pursue capital funding for new apparatus, additional PPE, pagers for the state radio system, and the new chief's vehicle, while continuing to prioritize training, safety, and compliance. In 2025, the Office of Emergency Management and Community Emergency Response Team, headed by Sergeant John Mancato, focused on preparedness, visibility, and community engagement. Thankfully, while the township did not experience major emergency activations, OEM and CERT played a critical role in planning, coordination, and on-site support for dozens of township events, including parades, festivals, concerts, races, and holiday celebrations. OEM and CERT also participated in regional preparedness efforts, including tabletop exercises with the Passaic Valley Water Commission and responses to include incidents along the Passaic River. Training and volunteer readiness remained a priority despite the challenges of limited real-world activations and the ongoing need for recruitment and retention. Looking ahead to 2026, OEM and CERT will focus on establishing a permanent facility, expanding training opportunities, enhancing public education efforts, strengthening flood monitoring and mitigation planning, and pursuing FEMA grant funding. The Little Falls EMS, headed by EMS Coordinator Mike Bandersky, experienced another demanding year in 2025, responding to 1,709 requests for service, an increase from the prior year. At the same time, Little Falls EMS continued to be a net provider of emergency services to surrounding communities, assisting Totowa, Woodland Park, Clifton, and several other municipalities. This level of service reflects not only increasing call volume, but the professionalism and reliability of our EMS team. Planning for the future remains a priority. In November 2025, the township ordered a new ambulance through a cooperative purchasing, with delivery of the new ambulance expected in 2028 due to the nationwide manufacturing delays. To maintain readiness in the interim, upgrades were approved for an existing unit, including a power stretcher loading system to reduce injuries and strain on personnel. Looking ahead, the township will continue planning for fleet replacement and long-term facility needs, including the development of a consolidated emergency services building to support EMS, OEM, and the emergency communications. Through a partnership with the Clifton Health Department, led by Health Officer John Beagle, public health services continued uninterrupted in 2025, despite statewide reductions in federal grant funding. The Health Department delivered dozens of educational programs, outreach events, and health clinics servicing residents of all ages. These efforts included school-based education, flu and vaccination clinics, dental and nursing services, tobacco age of sale enforcement inspections, and community-focused programming hosted at the Civic Center and Library. In 2025, the township also established the Little Falls Public Health Committee, providing a forum for collaboration, feedback, and long-term health planning. In 2026, the Health Department will complete and present a comprehensive community health assessment, expand educational programming, and continue inspections and outreach efforts that protect the health and wellness of all of our residents. The Recreation Department, led by Tyler Passero, had one of its most active years to date in 2025, overseeing nearly 80 program events and activities that brought residents together throughout the year. These included seasonal events, athletic leagues, senior programming, community celebrations, and special events enjoyed by residents of all ages. A major achievement was the successful restructuring of the summer camp program, which improved safety, compliance, and staff retention while continuing to deliver meaningful experiences for our children. Facility upgrades were completed at the Recreation Center, and inclusive programming continued through grant funding supporting residents with disabilities. the Little Falls Farmers Market also enjoyed its most successful season yet. Building on that momentum, the market will relocate in 2026 to the train station parking lot to allow for additional vendors and improved accessibility. In the year ahead, Recreation will introduce new programs, complete restroom renovations, and a new playground project, and continuing expanding opportunities that enhance quality of life throughout the township. None of what I've outlined tonight would be possible without the dedicated employees of this township. I want to thank every member of our municipal workforce for their professionalism, commitment, and tireless service. I would especially like to recognize our business administrator, Vince Quattrone, whose steady leadership and day-to-day guidance help keep township operations running smoothly, and our township clerk, Cynthia Kraus, who ensures that our government and meetings function efficiently, transparently, and in full compliance with the law. To the residents of Little Falls, thank you for your continued engagement, support, and trust. Serving as your mayor has been one of the greatest honors of my life, and I look forward to continuing this work together in the year ahead. Thank you, and may 2026 be a year of continued progress and success for the Township of Little Falls. All right, Council President, now that I've lost my voice reading that, I have two more proclamations that I'd like to read this evening. The first being Human Trafficking Month proclamation. I will admit that Human Trafficking Month was a January initiative, but unfortunately, because of the cancellation of the meeting, we did not want to skip reading it, so I will read it here this evening. Whereas human trafficking is among the world's fastest growing criminal enterprises, and it profits from the exploitation of vulnerable population, including minors and adults. Whereas human trafficking is a borderless crime against individuals that violates the most basic human rights and deprives victims of every shred of personal freedom. And whereas victims can be U.S. citizens or non-citizens and can be any age or gender, but they have a shared experience of having been forced, tricked, manipulated, or threatened into compliance with the criminals seeking to exploit them. And whereas broad public awareness of human trafficking that is informed by the live experiences of survivors brave enough to share their knowledge is best practice when seeking to understand and prevent trafficking. And whereas the Township of Little Falls stands committed to protecting human rights and individual freedoms by raising awareness of human trafficking. And whereas the Township of Little Falls is committed to ensuring that those impacted by human trafficking receive services that are trauma-informed and responsive to their individual needs. And whereas the township commends the work of the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking for its survivor-inclusive efforts to end human trafficking in our state and beyond through education, advocacy, and assistance to survivors, and to increase coordination and visibility of New Jersey's commitment to end human trafficking. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor James Belford Damiano, on behalf of the Township Council, do hereby proclaim January 2026 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the Township of Little Falls to raise awareness about the signs and consequences of human trafficking, to promote opposition to human trafficking in all of its forms, and to encourage support for the survivors of human trafficking throughout the state of New Jersey and across the world to put an end to this criminal activity and restore freedom and dignity to its survivors. And last but not least, we have the proclamation recognizing Black History Month. Which, whereas the Township of Little Falls takes pride in recognizing February 2026 as Black History Month, celebrating the many notable contributions that people of African descent have made to our country. And whereas in 1986, Congress passed Public Law 99-244, designating February as National Black History Month to bring awareness to Black history. And whereas we celebrate the diversity of Black people, whether they self-identify as African, African-American, or Black. And whereas we recognize this year's theme of a century of Black history commemorations, honoring the 100th anniversary of the first Black History Week founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in 1926. I'm sorry, 1926. And whereas each Black family has a unique and interesting story, which although we may not be able to fully understand, we can listen and show that we care, treating each other with respect and empathy. And whereas we encourage all people to recognize these issues by standing in the gap at every opportunity and bridge barriers with fearlessness and determination to improve lack of representation of Black people. And whereas today we celebrate and affirm the contributions of all Black people to our community throughout our state and the nation. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, James Belford Damiano, the mayor of the Township of Little Falls, do hereby proclaim February 1st through March 1st as Black History Month and calls upon the people of Little Falls to continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, equitable, and prosperous for all. And that's all that I have this evening, Council President, unless there are any questions from the council.
Does the governing body have any questions for the mayor regarding? Thank you, Mayor. We're going to come back to the council reports and the attorney report. We're going to move on to agenda items. Can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public for agenda items?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilman Murphy. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Madam Clerk?
Anyone wishing to address the Township Council may do so through the Council President. It is preferred if you give your name and address for the record. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes. However, if appropriate, you may be granted additional time in the sole discretion of the Council President. Members of the public who are joining the meeting virtually and desire to provide comment shall raise their virtual hand in the Zoom application. The meeting moderator will cue the members of the public that wish to provide comment, and the Council President will recognize them in order. Members of the public who have joined the meeting by calling in must press *6 to mute and unmute themselves and *9 to raise their hand. Members of the public who have joined the meeting via the Zoom application must click the reactions icon and then the raise hand icon. Once the process is complete, we will return to the regular order of business.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The floor is now open for agenda items only. Those that would like to speak, please come to the podium. I see no one in the chat. Is that correct? I see no one come. Good evening. Yeah, for the record, sir, you have to state your name. You don't need to state your address.
Danny from William Street. I've been a resident for around a little over 11 years in Little Falls. My house constantly gets flooded.
Sir, I don't mean to
It's been
interrupt, sir, I don't mean to
years.
interrupt you at this point, but this is just for agenda items. You'll have an opportunity to speak on this issue at the next public session, which is going to come up right after this. But if you have any questions regarding what's on the agenda, we'll entertain it. But if not, just have to wait for the next public
But
session
I
this
was
week.
asking questions about the MAP program beyond the agenda.
That's not on the agenda, sir. So if you just wait a few moments, we'll be able to speak. Okay, thank you. Does anyone wish to speak on the agenda? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close? Moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilman Patel. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Patel, second by Councilwoman Hablitz. Are there any questions regarding the consent agenda before we take a vote? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Yes, we had a motion by Councilwoman Patel, second by Councilwoman Hablitz.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Hab?
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery?
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes. Can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public for general matters? Moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilwoman Hablitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
Anyone wishing to address the Township Council may do so. The President, it is preferred if you give
I don't know where to
the
begin.
record. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes. However, if appropriate, you may be granted additional time in the sole discretion of the Council President. Members of the public who are joining the meeting via virtually and desire to provide comment shall raise their virtual hand in the Zoom application. The meeting moderator will cue the members of the public that wish to provide comment, and the Council President will recognize them in order. Members of the public who have joined the meeting by calling in must press *6 to mute and unmute themselves and *9 to raise their hand. Members of the public who have joined the meeting via the Zoom application must click the reactions icon and then the raise hand icon. Once the process is complete, we will return to regular order of business.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, sir, for the record, your name again, please?
Danny Iska from William Street. That MAP program, Mayor Damiano, did you work with Governor Murphy on that program?
So I know you sent an email earlier today with a letter that you received. And I was made aware of the letter that you received by another resident in your area that received it last week. And I was disheartened when I read the letter.
Yeah.
That to find that the MAP program and the funding associated with it is not being continued. It was a program that was brought to our attention first as municipal officials, and the state through the federal government required our local buy-in in order to allow residents to participate in the program. And I happily accepted the opportunity for residents in Little Falls to be able to apply for funding to elevate their homes. Between late 23 and early 24, what you and so many others in your area had to experience with back-to-back floods a month apart, for me to witness from really the sidelines as much as I was there, was absolutely devastating. And to come to find out recently, after we were told there would be all of this funding available for elevations in the area, only recently to learn that it no longer meets FEMA's compliance for, I guess, the debt ratio of what it would actually cost versus what it might cost them long-term to now be no longer approved or terminated, was certainly a shot to the gut. I unfortunately, our involvement in that program is limited to administering it once and if the funding becomes available. What that means is that we approved it and said, we'd love to have this in town. If individual homes were then approved for it in the future, the way it has worked historically, we've never done this program in the past, but the way all the other ones similar, Blue Acres, FEMA, have worked, is that the municipality then deals with the elevation of the home and the federal government reimburses the municipality for the funds. Between those two stages, the homeowners are dealing with FEMA and the federal government and the state government in order to, I guess, secure and finalize the funding. Unfortunately, it appears based upon the letter that you've received and I received recently, that program is suspended and there is no longer funding available for it.
So in other words, the government is dysfunctional. Like they're not gonna get anything done.
I won't sit here and
Where's the
disagree with.
funding? Where's the funding? Wasn't there funding allocated for it? I heard there was like 10 million allocated for the area. So where's that 10 million at?
I agree with you. And that was my understanding as well. Like I said, the first I learned of it was last week. Based on what I read in the letter that you received, it appears that the federal government feels in order for these programs to qualify for funding, the federal or state governments need to feel that whatever dollars and cents they spend on your project, your house, individual homes, that the claims that they will pay out in the future will never exceed what it would have cost them had they not elevated your home. Meaning, if they're going to spend $100,000 on your home, it better save them at least $100,000 in perpetuity. And based on what I read in the letter, it seems that they feel that may no longer be the case. And again, this is not just to you. I'm now aware of a couple of residents in the neighborhood that have received this. But it's extremely disheartening because this was something that we were almost, I don't want to use the word guaranteed, but we were promised that this funding was going to be available for residents. And like I said, I only found out about it, I believe it was late Friday or Saturday, and then through you today. So it's certainly something that I'm going to be finding out more about moving forward. I'm certainly going to be asking questions. I'm sorry that I don't have more information for you now, but unfortunately, again, this is not a program that all we do is administer it once the funding's approved and welcome it in town. And so right now we're in that middle stage when this notice was provided. So I will certainly be trying to do some more digging on it, to have more information for you soon. But unfortunately, this cancellation or termination of the project was well outside of our hands and anything that myself or this council did.
You know how I feel. That was very mean-spirited to raise our hopes that we wouldn't have to see our homes damaged in future flooding and just to pull the rug from under our feet. That is very mean-spirited, okay? That is not how our government is supposed to take care of the people, okay? And I hope that you can get that program more funding for it or restart it because you know, I'm on Social Security and VA disability, and I can't afford to pay for to have my house elevated. But I also can't stand watching my house be destroyed from flood after flood, and seeing a house start getting wood rotted and stuff from flood after flood. I need help. I need the house elevated. I mean, I feel happy, glad for the other homeowners on the street that have their house elevated, and after a flood, they don't have to throw out everything. But houses like mine that's not elevated, I got to throw out everything that's in the garage, in the shed, everywhere in the backyard, because all that sewer water and whatever is in it. I send you pictures so you can see what my house looks like in a flood. All that nasty water from the sewer and whatever outside up to like my thigh in the house, okay? And everything that was on the ground floor floating around and, lost, and I can't keep going through that. I mean, a week before Christmas, that flood, right? We had just finished doing the touches from the last flood a couple of years ago. We can't keep going through this. I need help. I need my house raised.
Yeah, like I said, I empathize with you and it's certainly something that I'm going to be trying to get more information on about why this may have been canceled after we were, again, essentially promised this funding.
Well, I hope, maybe this new governor will, reinstate the program, refund it or whatever. I mean,
Well, we're trying,
Oh,
we're trying.
towards it.
So one of the issues is that this is, although the state administers one level of it, the funding is really federal funding.
Right.
We right now are in a very weird interim period where we don't have a local representative in in the congressperson's office because the seat was recently vacated. So as soon as we have a concrete line of connection that I can make in the the congressperson's office, I will certainly be reaching out to them. In the meantime, I am going to reach out to the state. I know I know it was on state letterhead that this was canceled. I don't know that
Yeah,
the state canceled it.
Canceling the program is on a state letterhead.
Right.
So I don't know if it's from FEMA or from the state or,
Typically FEMA dollars and cents are from the federal government.
I don't know
But
where it's from.
I will absolutely be finding this out. Like I said, I only learned of this very, very late last week. So hopefully soon I'll have some answers.
Maybe, like we get Governor Sherrill to, reinstate the program and fund it or whatever, get more funding or something.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Does the council have anything?
Yeah, I have something.
Through the floor,
I have
Councilman Vanchery.
an update because I got the same email with the mayor on Friday from one of your neighbors, and I've been in touch with him the last couple of days as well. Because as the mayor alluded to, we don't have a sitting congressperson right now because of Governor Sherrill, resigning from her position. But I did reach out to Congresswoman Nellie Poe's chief of staff. He used to be the chief of staff for Congressman Pascrell, and Congressman Pascrell did a lot when it came to flooding, and Congresswoman Poe's office is dealing with the same thing. So we're hoping to get some sort of update, what happened, what transpired in the interim until we have someone in our role here in Congressional District 11. So we did reach out and they are looking into it. So hopefully we'll have an update because, like I said, a couple of your neighbors also got the letter and they reached out to us too last week. We're trying to find out what happened. It's a frustration, believe me, for everybody.
I send you the pictures of what my house looks like when it's flooded there. Use those pictures, show the politicians or whoever needs to see them, what I have to go through every time after a flood. I have to look at that every time and clean it up. It's not healthy. I can't live like that. I need help.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, you have two communications that came before the governing body and the mayor at this time. Can you read them for the record?
The first is an email from Wendy McNeil. And it is addressed to the mayor and township council. We are writing to express our concern regarding certain aspects of the proposed development of the Peckman Preserve. We had hoped to attend tonight's meeting of the council to speak in person, but we have a conflicting obligation. So instead, we will write with some of our thoughts and concerns. While we are delighted to know that the preserve will be enhanced by walk paths and boardwalk areas, we are specifically and very seriously concerned about the proposed bathrooms that are slated for construction there. We enjoy visiting many local area parks and trails, but do not expect nor do we see public restroom areas provided for visitors. Our concerns include the potential attractions, people who seek restroom facilities as a refuge, either for homelessness or for engaging in other activities, such as smoking or drug use out of the public eye. Without going into detail, these concerns have been observed in areas of such parks as Brookdale Park and Branchbrook Park, both much larger parks that provide restrooms for their many, many visitors. This park project, much smaller by comparison, does not seem to require public restroom facilities, and we are concerned that such facilities will be much more of a deterrent detriment than a complement to the grounds. Of course, there are the sanitary issues of both the internal and external spaces. Who will be responsible for the regular cleaning and maintenance to ensure that if young children enter the facilities, they will be clean and well maintained? Who will respond to the clogged sinks and clogged toilets that will occur without regular supervision? Any public school or recreation administrator would attest to the frequency of mischievous misuse of the facilities and the resultant flooding of floors and unsanitary conditions that must be addressed in response. While funds must be available for the building of this facility, will ongoing funds be available to support the continuing cost of maintenance? Will there be a contact number posted for users to report issues of toilet flooding and unsanitary conditions? These types of situations must be considered and a plan put in place in order for this building to be safe and accessible for our residents. If a building of some sort is a contingency of the grant funding, please urge the county to reconsider the type of building and consider some other sort of a small structure that would serve a meaningful purpose. One suggestion would be a small structure containing tables and or seating, like a small classroom that could be accessed for nature talks, etc., by county naturalists, local teachers, and library personnel, for instance. Perhaps shelving could be placed with area maps or pictures of local wildlife that visitors could look for in their walks. Additionally, the benches on the trails could have shade screens where there are no trees, or handicap accessibility considerations could be increased in some way. This old teacher could go on and on with suggestions to safely and meaningfully invest the grant funds, but in the interest of being concise, I will stop here. As lifelong Little Falls residents who have chosen to stay in our much-loved hometown to raise our 3 children and who now take pride in having our children and their little ones growing up in the same familiar environs we have always respected and appreciated, we reach out to you for support, help and support. While we hope that our voices will be heard by the county officials, we trust that your voices carry much more authority and influence than ours in the long run, and we urge you to consider the pros and cons of this singular aspect of the Peckman Preserve project. Since we are unable to attend in person tonight, we thought it'd be best to send our concerns in writing so that you would have time to give thought to your positions and potential responses on behalf of our town and the neighborhood surrounding our local preserve. We have learned that there is an upcoming county meeting, which we do plan to attend, but again, believe your thoughts on this and your voices at that level would be a significant help. Thank you for your kind attention and consideration of these concerns, as we believe they will impact us all. Regards, Wendy and Roger McNeil, and Councilwoman Hablitz did respond. You don't need to.
No, I can just respond. I did assure Ms. McNeil that Council President Skolba and I will be at the meeting on the 18th. And I did urge her and any other residents, I see there's a lot of the residents here today, to attend the meeting as well, so that we can talk to the county. As far as I know, I did speak to Commissioner Lazara, who also said that she notified the county notified the residents with a letter letting them know about the meeting. And I did reach out to Mrs. Barone, letting her know, because I know that she was talking to residents about the meeting. And she said that she did know about the meeting. And they do have concerns, as they had the concerns prior, of having the bathrooms, having the parking. There is a classroom type structure that is proposed. And there was also some concern about that. But we did say that we would go to the meeting and that we would hear the, if there's been changes. The county did assure that nothing was set in stone. I know that there was some talk of some paperwork that some residents thought was submitted. The paperwork that was submitted, according to Commissioner Lazara, was just the same paperwork that they spoke about when they were here, paperwork for the grant that needed to be submitted to the state. And then it would be submitted to the township, but nothing is set in stone as far as the bathrooms or the parking lot. There's still room for discussion, which is what that meeting is about. I know that the residents did prefer to have the meeting here in Little Falls. I just found out about the meeting when the residents found out about the meeting. And I think maybe logistically, they have their engineers, they have their staff there. Maybe logistically, it's just easier for them to have everything there. So I am hoping that you all attend the meeting and we can all have a discussion and come to some sort of compromise about what's going to be there.
Madam Clerk, can you read the second correspondence, please?
This is a letter from various Little Falls residents, and this is to the township. It says, "Dear Township Supervisor, the below comments are in response to the notification letter dated December 30th, 2025 from David C. Kruger, President, Environmental Technology, Inc., for the above referenced permits. This letter was received by Little Falls residents on or around January 2nd, 2026. Plans were made available to interested parties on January 6th by the municipal clerk's office due to some confusion related to the location of the plans. I note this as it resulted in reduced time for residents to review, research, and understand the contents of the plans and to provide comments within the required 15-day window. As such, we hope that you will consider extending the comment deadline. The residents of this area are excited at the prospect of taking the necessary action to preserve this wetland and wildlife reserve. That being said, the undersigned have some questions and concerns about the submitted plans. There are new impervious surfaces being added to this unimproved park noted in the plans, which includes a proposed pavilion, bathrooms, and paved parking surfaces. The plans note that details related to the pavilion structure were included in separate architectural drawings, but the municipal clerk's office does not have these drawings for our review. We would like to better understand how these surfaces may impact stormwater runoff as it relates to the wetland, the riparian zone, and the Peckman River. While the surfaces themselves are not in the official flood zone or wetland area, although they are close, those of us who live in this area have seen floodwaters rise outside of the delineated flood zone and even as far as Wilmore Road multiple times in the last 20 years. Page 8, item 9 of the application indicates that a stormwater review is not necessary as it does not meet the definition of major development. We'd like to understand this better since it seems nearly every area of this 12+ acre parcel of land is being impacted in some way. We believe that the restrooms and parking lot are not necessary for such a small park and would be better left out of the project to provide additional protection to the surface waters, state of New Jersey. In a joint meeting with Passaic County and Little Falls Township held on September 8th, 2025, we were promised a follow-up meeting to allow the residents of Little Falls to review the plans with the intent of providing stakeholder input prior to submittal for permits. This meeting has not been scheduled at the time writing this letter. We look forward to partnering with state, county, and municipal officials to see this project move forward for the protection of the environment and the betterment of the community land within Little Falls. Please let us know what the next steps would be to make this happen.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The floor is now open. For the record, you could just state your name. You do not need to state your address.
Good evening. My name is Karen Chalice. Congratulations to all the great work in 2025. It was great hearing all the accomplishments. I am here to talk about the letter that was just read. I didn't realize that I wrote that letter. I didn't realize it was going to be read tonight. I do want to thank Melissa. She worked very hard to get her hands on those plans. And not only did she work hard to get the plans, but she made the effort to call us back and say, I have them, come in when you're ready. Instead of just saying, come back tomorrow, come back tomorrow. So I really do appreciate the effort you made there. So I think I summarized most of it in the letter, but again, I just want to follow up because we did start with the meeting on September 8th. At that time that we were told there would be a meeting. We hoped that it would be before the permits went in because those do contain permits to the DEP. It's the only reason we knew that this was happening was because the DEP sent us the letters. So that letter that I said was actually to the DEP because it had to be within the comment period. So also you referenced a notification went out about the meeting on the 18th.
That's what I was told by Commissioner Lazara.
If a formal blanket notification went out, I didn't receive it. Okay. I did get a notification because I was directly emailing the person in charge of the project. I copied a few people here in this room saying, when is this meeting going to be? I've been asking monthly since September, and she told me when the meeting was. And so then I also told my neighbors when the meeting is. So I don't know that an official meeting notice went out other than what's on the website.
Okay, that was what she told me. So I will clarify with her, and I'm sorry. That's just what I was told.
Yeah, that's what she told you. I just want to make sure it's clear and on the record. I don't want anyone to have the impression that some kind of official notification went out if it did.
Okay.
So we're trying to tell as many people as we can to attend the meeting. Like Wendy said in her letter, you know, this body, you're our representatives. You probably have a little more clout with the county. I'm not really sure where this body stands on the bathrooms because I haven't received feedback from any of you if you're in support of them or not in support of them. So I would like to understand that better. If you are in support of them, why? help me to understand that, because this is a small park and we know from quality of life issues, it's going to be a problem, these bathrooms. Like Wendy noted, graffiti, vagrants, maintenance problems. We also checked around at certain county parks. A lot of the county parks now have lock and key on the bathrooms with porta potties instead. It just seems like it's inviting so much more trouble than the need for the facility, because it is a small park. So I'd appreciate any follow-up from any of you as to where you stand or how you feel. And I'm glad to hear you're going to be at the meeting on the 18th.
Before we proceed, Mayor, would you like to give a synopsis of how we got to this point with the county, the original, you could stay at the podium. Okay, you would rather sit down? You're welcome to sit down. A synopsis of how we got into this point, originally what this property was.
Yeah, this property was initially slated for a development a number of years ago, and the county came in and purchased this land with the intention of keeping and creating some additional green space in the area, which, as we know, development along the Peckman River certainly can introduce additional water to the river. It can certainly create additional flood issues downstream. So we're always appreciative of the county for having, purchasing this property and having prevented however many units may have possibly gone here from going there. Leading us to this project, I think was a surprise for all of us up here as much as it was for anyone out there, in the sense that there was very little municipal involvement leading up to that meeting in September. We knew about it probably about the same time as everyone else here. I know the county hosted several meetings. We weren't very well aware that they were happening, much like all of you here. We're now at a point where I think, there's a decision about a bathroom being, I think, the single biggest, most contentious issue related to this project, because I think some walking paths and some improvements to the area may be welcomed by most. But the bathrooms themselves, my position on bathrooms in general are that bathrooms are great for the first 5 years. They're always maintained, they're always clean, they're always well put together. Over a period of time, no matter how much maintenance you think you may do or upkeep you may have related to a bathroom, they tend to become worn down, neglected a bit. I'll say they battle the elements themselves, and all of that takes a toll on them. I know it was a discussion and a major discussion amongst myself, this council, for Wilmore Park, and there was some funding that we were considering applying towards a bathroom there, and we've held off so far. I do know I get questions regularly about, can we have a more permanent and better bathroom at the playground itself? Maybe being a little bit different than this park area and the usage that the two of them see, and their visibility and their proximity to the street and all of that. But a bathroom sort of off the beaten path, although it'll be along a path here, I think initially may have its benefits, but over time, I don't know that the benefits would continue to outweigh the potential detriments that would come with it. So I'm certainly, I don't want to say I guess I'm somewhat torn, but lean far more towards the idea of these bathrooms not moving forward in this area. Because of, like I said, over time, they do become an issue, they become a maintenance issue, and potentially an attractive nuisance for some. Certainly something that I think I have concerns with. While the county tends to patrol their parks from time to time, I know that the initial phone call is not going to be to a county dispatch center. It's going to be to a Little Falls dispatch center. And it would not be responsible of Little Falls to then say, where is your closest Passaic County patrol officer right now? They should respond to Wilmore, to this Peckman Preserve Park. The person that's going to respond is going to be a Little Falls police officer, taking away from potentially something else that may be happening here in town. So again, while I'm torn, because it seems like on its face a good idea to have these bathrooms here, I'm not sure that the long-term benefits outweigh the detriments.
Councilman Patel, would you like to weigh in? Any comments?
Just that we have been looking into it. I don't think I have a personal opinion at this time. I think our goal is to hear what the residents have to say. We've heard from what you said before. We continue to listen. And we're going to make sure that your voice is heard at the county level, right? Because at the end of the day, it's what each one of you, especially those that are directly impacted, feel as opposed to overall. So we're just taking it time by time. We're also just starting to look over plans, right? It's a lot to get through, as you fully know. But yeah, personally, I don't have an opinion on this at this moment.
Councilwoman Havelitz?
Yes. So as you know, I am the open space liaison. For about 1.5 to 2 years, working with the open space. There were many times that I was speaking with the county, wanting them to come and present the plans for open space prior at the meeting, so the open space committee could be able to look them over. There definitely was some disconnect in that, I'll say. So when the county was here, that was also the first time that we were kind of going over some of these things, like the bathroom, like the nature center, like the parking lot. I always knew about the art installations, like that had been spoken about years before I ever became the open space liaison. I think I echoed the mayor in saying, listen, you can ask him. We've looked at these bathrooms for Wilmore Park that are self-cleaning, self-locking. They cost whatever, X amount of dollars. And I have begged all of them that if we're going to go with something for Wilmore, which we did get some grant funding for, that we should be able to put that there. And then we also have our DPW. So I would be much more in favor of having the bathrooms at Wilmore Park, where they could be used by the playground and have all of those amenities, versus having one, as you said, that are probably going to get less use, are off the beaten path, and may not be favorable in 5 years, as the mayor says. That being said, it is the county's project, and we want to be able to work with the county and compromise with the county as much as we can, because we do want the rest of the project, right? The rest of the project is great. It's great for town. It's great that houses years ago, were not built there, especially with the flooding concerns that we have. So we do want to be able to work with them, and I would appreciate any of you who would come on the 18th, and we all just have a discussion about moving forward. As far as the permits, this is the first I'm hearing about it. She assured me that the permits are just part of the DEP process, and that it's still not set in stone. Like, it's not set with a contractor or so on and so forth. So I just wanted you to know that.
Can I have, or you can canvass the rest?
Councilman Vanchery, because you asked a question, I want to give my colleagues due time to respond. Yeah.
Sure.
Councilman Vanchery?
My opinion, I mean, that meeting we had here was the first time I saw anything. And based on the reaction from the crowd, it was obvious that no one liked it. And the biggest challenge that we have sometimes, and I know the mayor and I talk about this all the time, is communication. And there was lack of communication on the county's part. They should have sent notices in advance and maybe set up some images in the library or here or whatever, just so people had a good idea. I hope that with this meeting coming up, they listened to you when everybody was here earlier, and updated the plans, because I think, again, as everyone's kind of alluded to, we don't need a bathroom there. I think we've established that we can get something over by Wilmore Road Park. But again, I hope they're going to communicate, and I hope they're going to listen, and I encourage everybody to go, because the more voices, the better. Because I think, sometimes too, they have a vision. They look at things, what they want to do, and think, oh, they're going to love this. We're giving funding to the town. It's not always the case. Believe me, we work with the county a lot. Sometimes we agree with them. Sometimes we disagree. So I think raising your voice of concern is going to be key. And the more, the merrier, because I hope Commissioner Lazara will see that majority of the residents that live right there do not want this, and that they'll go back and make what's best for that area. Because I looked at the plan too, and I looked at that building. It reminds me of what they have over by Garrett Mountain, the Rifle Camp Park area. It's the same exact kind of setup over there. And it's just like, that works over there, but it's not going to work where it is in the Peckham Reserve. So I hope that they are going to make some modifications. They're going to listen to the residents. So I encourage everyone to go to that meeting. I know my colleagues are going to go, and maybe some of our other colleagues will go as well. Voice your concerns. That's my best advice.
Councilman Murphy?
Thank you, Council President. So what I'll say on this matter is, I think parks have their place, and I think they don't. And I think it's situational. I think at Garrett Mountain, where you have an area that is very secluded, that's patrolled constantly, where they have units assigned to there, where there's sheriff barracks and it's constantly patrolled, it has a place. There's no homes that are close to it. I think in this situation, I have to agree with you. I don't think there's a place for it there. And I have to be honest and probably disagree with some of my council mates up here. I don't even see a place for it on Wilmore Road. I got to be honest with you. I think the proximity to homes in this vicinity is just a little bit too close. I happen to think again, I don't have kids. I know a lot of people complain about it, but I do know that porta potties are somewhat useful. If you have to go, you have something there. So that's my stance on it. I think, I'm happy to go to that meeting with the county and speak to them about it. I think situationally, in some instances, they could be great. If they're being maintained, then you have units assigned to them. But again, I think my problem is if we have a Little Falls police officer patrolling them, and this is a county park or a county area, I don't see the county regularly come to Little Falls. I see them at Garrett Mountain. I don't know if they're going to be patrolling Little Falls and getting out of the park. So I think it's just going to ultimately be a burden. And as the mayor said, they look great in the beginning, and in 5 years from now, who knows what it's going to be. And I think ultimately it's just going to be something that we're kicking down the road, a problem down the road. So I agree. My personal stance on it is I'm not for it. But as my council mates also alluded, we're the voice for you guys. Our personal opinion matters, but really it's what you guys think. And we're here on behalf of you guys. So happy to go to that meeting. Happy to be, the cheerleader for all you guys and push against it. So that's my stance.
Thank you, Councilman Murphy. So I'm not a big proponent of bathrooms at times. The trails I hike, there's no bathrooms on them in the Cedar Grove Preserve or the trail that I hike, the railroad trail that's up the road on Francisco. There's no bathrooms there. Now, those are not county parks. So I think the county, the reason why they were looking at the bathrooms is they were thinking of bringing small, I shouldn't say small. They're bringing school children to the park. So young kids, I remember when I had them, it's quite a challenging when they need to use the facility. What do? You can't just run home. So I think that is where the county was going. Bathrooms constantly need to be cleaned. They need to be looked after. And when you have a lot of masses of people using them, they come under a lot of scrutiny. So I am personally not for them in that location. I think it should be more of an organic look without the bathrooms there. Thank you for coming to us this evening.
Can I just do some follow-ups on some of the comments I heard quickly?
Go ahead.
Just want to let this council know over 40 people signed that letter that I sent to the DEP, and I could have definitely gotten more if I had more time. That's number one. Number two, the plans that were submitted when it comes to the pavilion, it said see architectural plans for pavilion details. There were no architectural plans to be seen. So we have no idea what that pavilion looks like, or if it's just bathrooms, if it's a classroom, we have no idea. I'm very familiar with the submittal of environmental permits to the DEP. It's what I do for a living. I was disappointed because the best time to make those changes is before the permits get submitted to the DEP, because that costs time and money. They paid these consultants to do all that work, and now they're going to have to resubmit everything if they decide to eliminate that information, which costs more time and money. So that's disappointing. And then I also want to make sure, I don't understand, like, does the planning committee of Little Falls get involved? I know they're copied on the plans, because again, they didn't apply for any stormwater permits. And there was a requirement when you disturb more than an acre of land that you have to apply for a stormwater permit. That they're definitely disturbing more than an acre of land, and there's no permit. So has anyone from Little Falls said, wait a minute, there's a red flag here? And then lastly, Little Falls has to give the permit to allow them to break up Wilmore Road for the plumbing. So I'm hoping that, again, the right departments are engaged early. They're reviewing the permit requirements so that they can put in the necessary stop gaps and ask the correct questions well in advance.
Thank you. Thank you. Mayor, before you comment, if there's other residents that would like to come up? No. Go ahead, Mayor.
A brief response to that. We're only going to be that it doesn't come before the planning board in Little Falls, or it has not, at least.
I'm sorry, we can't have you talking from the audience. You have to come up to the podium.
It has not come before the planning board. Certainly I can tell you that. I don't know if a copy was delivered to the Township of Little Falls, but not for planning board review, or planning review. And as far as Wilmore Road, because it's a county road, the road opening permit would be a county permit. So that would also not necessarily. Now, the difference is it is the Little Falls sewer system. So again, it's not a road opening permit necessarily that we would need to issue, but in order to connect to the sewer line in Little Falls, yes, there would be. I will tell you, those are issued largely as of right in general, because again, there's no major planning board review here. It depends on the type of pipe in the area. Clay pipes are obviously a lot more fragile than, newer, more modern pipes. I don't know how old the pipe is in that particular area, but it would certainly be something that we would have some say on, but very little say on.
So when we as a township get copied on all these plans, whether it's this one or any other one, are we saying no one from the township reviews the plans to make sure they're?
I'm saying I don't know that we were actually copied on this plan
I saw it.
until it was,
I looked.
well, just because it says CC.
Understood.
I don't know that it was actually delivered.
But somebody should be looking to see who should have a copy of this on the CC and making sure it happens, I would hope.
If it was, it would have been delivered most likely to our building department and to review a plan for the county on the county property.
That process for going forward to make sure our town is on top of these things.
I can find out. I don't know that we were actually copied.
Well, okay, you can check, you'll verify, but hopefully going forward, you'll have a process with that. Thanks.
Thank you for your time. Does anyone else like to come before this governing body?
Buddy Bob Chalice. Just want to agree with some things that the mayor said and everybody said about bathrooms going downhill. Grew up in Totowa, been through Totowa, West Patterson, Little Falls my whole life. Every bathroom with that was there when I was a kid's gone. And it became a nuisance, became a place for it to be derelict, it's gone. Being a Patterson police officer for 27 years and Garrett Mountain mostly is Patterson, I was there way more than the county. Another thing was we got a flyer out for the Peckman Preserve when the county was here presenting all this stuff, and it said it was going to be all grant money. It wouldn't cost us anything. But if you look at the thing, it said $600,000 in grant money, $1.6 million in interest-free loan. I know that's not municipal tax, but we're taking a loan to do this. So we're not just paying interest now, but we have to pay back 1.6 million in county taxes. I know it's not municipal tax, but it's county tax. That's another thing that we're going to get hit with that too. We don't even want it. How much of that is the bathroom? 600,000. Why don't you fix up the ones in Garrett Mountain first? Well, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to come before the governing body? Anyone in the chat? Have a motion to close the public?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Patel, second by Councilman Murphy. All those in favor? All those opposed, motion carries. We'll go to council reports. Councilman Murphy, you'd like to lead us off?
Thank you, Council President. Just first, I'd like to thank the mayor for the state of the township. Look forward to working with him as well as the rest of the council in 2026. I'd also like to thank the 4 individuals, Little Falls Police Department, on their promotions tonight. All hard workers and all well-deserved. And Little Falls will continue to be a safe place. I just want to congratulate them all once again. Aside from that, the town calendars did go out about 2 weeks ago. Just want to recognize and thank Tyler Purcero for his hard work in getting that together and sent out. They were delivered in a very timely manner this year and in conjunction with the 13-month calendar, so it worked out pretty well. So myself and Councilman Hebletz worked on putting it together along with Tyler Purcero, so just want to thank him. If anyone did not receive a copy of the calendar, you can head to Town Hall or to the Rec Center and pick one up during business hours. Aside from that, we also had a domestic violence awareness committee meeting last Tuesday, where we were assigned now Sergeant Racanelli as the liaison for the Little Falls Police Department for the domestic violence awareness committee. So he's hitting the ground running. He's working on ways to better the relationship between the police department and the committee. So the committee is very excited to have him on board. I think he's going to be a really, really good fit for us. We're already getting to work on some things and some ideas, which I'll bring to the committee once we have them set in stone. So just excited to work with him and what the future has to come for the community, for the committee. That's all I have, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Murphy. Councilman Vanchery.
Thanks, Council President. All right, I got a bunch of things, but first let me start off saying congrats to Deputy Chief Pressing, Captain Gilchrist, Lieutenant Vespero, and Sergeant Racanelli. All four well-deserved getting promotions. Looking forward to working with all of them, obviously. And also want to recognize too, Sergeant Struthers Fleck, who is retiring tomorrow. So if anybody's around, make sure you stop by at 4 o'clock outside over here for our final radio call as she retires after many years of service in the Little Falls Police Department. This Sunday, I want to remind everyone about the third annual Ramadan event. Ceremony will take place at 5 p.m. at Wilmer Road Park. And then we should conclude around 5:30, and everyone is invited to come back to the Little Falls Rec Center, where we will have food trucks, other vendors there for sale, some arts and crafts for the kids, a bounce house. It's always a nice event. You know, we'll get 300-400 people that come out to these events. So we're looking forward to it. And I just want to thank the committee that's been involved, you know, myself and Tyler Pissarro from the rec department. They've worked in lockstep with us, just finalizing all the details for everything for this Sunday. I also want to say thank you to the New Jersey DMV. If you saw last week, we had the invite come out for the Real ID appointments, and we got lucky this time. When I reached out to my contact about having them come back, the response was, "Do you want 5 days?" Sure, we'll take 5 days. So February 23rd to the 27th, we booked 5 days at the Civic Center, and I can tell you, all 5 days were booked within the day. First couple days went quick, but then as the day progressed, the rest of them filled up. So just grateful for the DMV. Hopefully, I know a lot of residents were able to make an appointment. So it's good, perfect timing too, because as of February 1st, you know, there's an additional charge of $45 if you do not have your Real ID when you travel. So it's another way to save money. So looking forward to that. We will have members of the rec department there too, just to make sure that the DMV team is set up for what they need inside as well as outside. I also want to say kudos to the Little Falls Police Department as well as the DPW. You know, that last snowstorm was a monster. And, you know, we met, myself, Council President Scoba, members of the DPW, our business administrator, as well as the police department, just to go over plans and making sure, as I said before, communication's key. I've been a communicator for 25 years. I tell people, tell them again, because you got to tell them to their blue in the face because they won't listen. And I think they did a great job making sure that the nixles went out, alerts went out on our jumbotrons, communications went out via email, social media, police were driving around, and you saw the difference. There were less cars on the road, less cars being towed. So we're hoping that, you know, that sticks going forward. You know, obviously there was a lot of frustrations too with some of the county roads. And I can tell you, we tried. We were on the phone with every commissioner, I think. And kudos again to the DPW. You know, a couple of weeks ago, they were out till, Mayor, keep me honest, 7 p.m. to almost 1 o'clock in the morning, cleaning up the center of town, making sure the mayor and I were out there too with a couple shovels helping out. But it was just, it goes to show you that the businesses in town came with a concern. We tried to address it. We asked the county to do it. Unfortunately, they didn't come through for us, but you know, our DPW did a great job of addressing that. A couple other things in addition to the snow situation. One thing, Council President, as well as the mayor, and I know Mrs. Kraus knows this as well, as we were talking about the ordinance that's in place, one of the suggestions from the Little Falls Police Department was addressing the title. Because the one thing that the police department as well as the DPW tend to hear when they go around telling people to move cars, well, the ordinance says temporary parking prohibition for snow plowing and removal only. But if you read the ordinance, it's almost like a news article. No offense to my reporter friends that are to my left over here, but a lot of times a headline gets attention and the story is a little different at times. So I think what we need to do is kind of take a look at this, because a lot of what is in there when it comes to moving vehicles when snow is on the ground is there. But what we keep hearing from people is when I look up the ordinance, it says temporary parking prohibition for snow plowing and removal, not when snow is covered on the ground. So it's something we can look into and hopefully revise, because this came too from the police department. It was a concern because they hear it all the time. The other thing I want to look at too is addressing, and I know my colleagues, you know, Council President Scoba and Councilman Murphy, we've talked about this as well, is the situation with Stevens Avenue. That is a municipal lot. And what we keep hearing from the business is that the school continues to take most of the parking spaces. And I noticed too that there's a parking sign for one of the employees of the school, but it's on our lot. I think what we need to do is what we've talked about, addressing the parking on Ridge Ave, is getting the ordinance in place so that we can restripe that parking and make it clear with signage that from 7 to 4 p.m. there is no parking, only for schools. Because I know what we've heard too, a lot of the residents on Ridge tend to park there and they take away a number of parkings for teachers. And I know we talked about too with the parking lot having allocated spaces for teachers, but not the whole lot, because what we keep hearing from the businesses is you go there at 9 o'clock in the morning and most of the lot is full. And we know a lot of teachers are there, but understanding there's other parking. And if we can open up some parking around the school area, it'll be easier. Listen, every teacher goes through it, any town, believe me. I have two siblings that leave early in the morning to get to parking where they work and teachers in other towns. So I get it. But I think it's something we should address because we keep hearing it. And I'll put it to you and my colleague, because I know you've heard the same thing as well.
Right. So we do have this law and we do need to take a hard look at how we're going to navigate this going forward, because I think Councilman Murphy will contest. Businesses do need people to park. New Jersey likes their cars and they like to park when they patronize the businesses. And at times, certain businesses, there's take our restaurants or the breakfast place, Falls Kitchen, 2-3 people means 2-3 cars. So we understand that. We're going to be taking a hard look to how we can navigate that going forward.
That's all I have, Councilman.
Councilwoman Hablitz.
Thank you, Council President. So I do echo the same congratulations to the officers that were promoted tonight and to Sergeant Struthers Fleck on her retirement tomorrow. Library updates, you can go to the library's website or our social media pages to see all of the updates, but I do want to bring up the library's book delivery. It's available and obviously has been very useful in this cold weather. I was there last week and they were out and about delivering books to everyone who cannot get into the library in order to pick them up due to the cold and snow. All you need is a library card and the delivery is free. You just have to call the library. So that's a very good service, especially in this weather. We did have our first open space committee meeting in January, and we did discuss the Duva playground. We discussed a couple of our upcoming playgrounds that will be on our 5-year plan, but the Duva playground that is going to be redone hopefully this year in the spring or fall. And it will be our first all-inclusive playground that will be redone. So it's the small playground that is at Duva Field that will be redone. And then lastly, the mayor did allude to this in his State of the Township, but the farmers market will be moving. We've been very successful and we have outgrown the space. So we did get permission to use the train station. So the farmers market this year will be in the train station. There is parking at the train station site. We'll be using one side of the train station and the other side will be for parking, as well as on-street parking and still parking in our municipal lot. So it'll kind of be the opposite. Before, people were parking in the train station and walking to the municipal lot. Now people can park in the municipal lot and walk to the train station for the market. So we're very excited, and that will start on the third weekend in May, which I believe is May 19th. That's all I have, Council President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Patel.
Thank you, Council President. I too want to congratulate the 4 officers that got promoted. We look forward to working with them. We'll continue working with them. Just a few updates from the Public Health Committee side. There's a mocktail paint and sip being held at the Clifton Elwood Library on February 11th at 6 p.m. You can enjoy a painting session and a quick, brief, engaging presentation on mental health, stress, and self-care resources on Monday, February 23rd between 10 and 12 p.m. There is free blood pressure and glucose screening at Clifton City Hall, which is 900 Clifton Avenue. Walk-ins are welcome. February is American Heart Month, and heart disease does remain one of the leading cause of deaths in the United States. And so on our township website, we have added a whole page of resources under the health department page, from ways to improve your heart health, access to free stress management counseling, and other ways that individuals can actively participate in American Health Month. So please go check it out. Our next Public Health Committee meeting will be this Wednesday, February 11th at 6:30 p.m. at the Civic Center. And that's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Patel. March 18th, we're going to be holding our St. Patty's Day program for the seniors. It'll be at the Civic Center. I see we have a new committee member in our audience tonight. Thank you, Timothy, for showing up and participating. There's only 3 of us that serve on this committee, so I'm grateful that you're going to be lending a big hand to get these programs that we do off the ground this year. And the first one's on March 18th. Please mark that, colleagues, in your calendar. I also spoke with our new CFO, Councilman Murphy. Hopefully next week we'll be able to sit down with her and go over the finances of this township. So going forward, we'll have a good idea in assisting the mayor in planning our financial future. Counselor, do you have anything for this governing body? Have a motion to close this meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilman Vanchery. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? This meeting is now closed.